Hi, and welcome to my video. Please allow me to introduce myself. I am a Hyper Alpha Giga Chad Pog champion that is very talented at all aspects of RuneScape, especially PvM. Therefore, it is with great honor that I would like to introduce you to my appropriately named Ironman account, Chadventure, whose sole purpose, calling, and motivation is to absolutely pog out within the tombs of a mascot. 12k points. Do we have a purple? Hey everyone, Chadventure here, bringing you episode 8 of the series, where we're pushing to complete ToA with minimalistic stats and gear on an Ironman. In the previous episode, we unlocked both our best in slot magic and ranged armor for taking on the tombs. In this episode, we will be setting a course for the desert, where we have 4 quests to finish before we unlock the raid. If you want to jump ahead directly to the ToA content, I will be a little sad, but you can use the timestamps in the description to do so if you please. Without any further delay, let's pay these guards 10 GP and head into the desert. There is Prince Ali rescue completed. On to the next desert quest. That is Little Helper completed. Now we can move on to contact. Okay, I think they're attacking on different ticks. Excellent, yep, there we go. That is the boss fight completed. Let's go wrap up the quest. There is contact completed, leaving just Beneath Cursed Sands as the final quest for ToA. Now, to begin Beneath Cursed Sands, we have to go over here and talk to Jamila. Fun fact, Jamila is actually the Arabic word for beautiful. I like that Jagex put stuff in the game like that. I think also the word Kodai is Japanese for ancient. I study languages for fun in my free time, and I can verify that the Arabic is accurate. Don't quote me on the Japanese though. First quest boss fight. For this one, you're not supposed to use overheads, so my strategy is to snare him, run away, and range him. This is not a very good strategy, and I think you'd be better off just tanking the damage and stabbing him with a sword. First boss down. On to the second quest boss, the Champion of Scabaras. He's pretty straightforward. You pretty much just pray magic and run away from him, kind of like doing solo Commander Ziliana in God Wars. And here is boss number 2 defeated. On to the third and final boss of Beneath Cursed Sands, the Menifai Akkha, which is definitely the most difficult of the 3. And I'll be honest with you, this one did not go very well for me. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. I just clicked on the boss instead of stepping away from him. A few times I got close, but I was unlucky. No way, man. 39 health and I just couldn't do it. As you can see, I wasted a grotesque amount of time trying to finish this quest to no avail. So instead, I'm gonna go train and get my levels a little bit higher and then try again. In true Giga Chad form, I opted to train my stats via Slayer. One of the tasks I happened to receive was a Moss Giants task, where I was Giga Spooned on the Mossy Keys. After getting my kicked in by the Menifai Akkha, as well as Zulrah in the previous episode if you watched that, I could definitely use some redemption PvM. And what better way could I achieve this than through the Moss Giant boss, Bryophyta. I was spoon-fed enough keys that I actually should be able to finish the easy combat achievements for this boss, so let's go redeem ourselves. First kill coming in, which should be a combat achievement in itself. Excellent. Second kill coming in, which should be the combat achievement. Oh, okay, I thought that would have been protection from Moss. I had Magic Prayer on. Kill number 3 should have fighting as intended since we're in a free-to-play world, as well as the protection from Moss since we have Magic Prayer on. Alright, there is fighting as intended. Huh. Okay, I don't know why we didn't get the other one. Okay, so the issue for protection from Moss is that I was turning my prayer off before the kill was finished, so I'm going to leave it on until the death animation is finished. This one we're going for the one where it has to die by poison. I forget what the name is. Ah, slow death, that's what it's called. That makes sense. I'm gonna leave the prayer on a little longer. Wait, okay, there we go. That was it. Had me worried for a second there. There we go, 5kc, which means we're a Bryophyta champion, which is the final easy combat achievement for this boss. I definitely feel more redeemed now in terms of PvM. And here are the beginner caskets from the clue scrolls that Bryophyta drops. Whoa, how'd that get in there? Wow, those were really awful. Alright, time to finish this stupid quest. I got 2 more attack levels, as well as 5 more defense levels, so hopefully we should be able to finish this now. I also have another strategy in mind that I'm going to implement for this attempt. There we go. I should have the boss and the shadow off tick now, so I can pray flick between them. They can still hit you through prayer, but I should take a lot less damage overall from doing this. Come on, just one more hit, just one more. Okay, just 2 more hits, just 2 more hits. Is that it? Is that it? That's it. Oh my god, finally. That quest took way too long. Thank goodness. Alright, let's go finish this up and do some ToA. And there we go. Beneath Cursed Sands completed. We also unlocked our Karis Partisan, the final thing we were missing off our minimalistic gear tier list. And now, ToA is unlocked. We've officially done it. Oh, and an agility level 2, I guess. Before we enter the tombs, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for showing such an interest in this series. We're finally here. And to reflect on this journey, I've animated a little highlight reel of some of the account unlocks during this journey. A massive shout out to all the OGs who've been here since episode 1, and a warm welcome to all of our new Chads joining us now. I hope you enjoy the montage. I got it! I got the red crossbow! We got a black d'hide body. Oh my god, it actually is. Holy shit. Oh, finally. An amulet of power. Chadventure gloves unlocked. Our best in slot magic gear for ToA. We're done. That's it. It's the Dragon Defender. And there we go. Beneath Cursed Sands completed. Underground Pass completed. As well as obtain unlocks such as the Ardougne Cape 1 Fairy Rings. Chromatic Isles completed. We've got our new best in slot helmet. Ladies and gentlemen, we've finally done it. Let's enter the Tombs of Apmeken. Before I talk about the raid, here's the gear I'm taking, and these are what my stats look like. For those of you who don't know, the Tombs of Apmeken uses an invocation system, where you can customize the difficulty, boss mechanics, and reward potential of the entire raid. Here's what the invocations are for what I'm running. I've got Shaking Things Up enabled, which actually makes the raid easier, as Baba's attack is 4 ticks instead of the default 3, and I've got Blowing Mud on, which actually doesn't do anything in a solo. If you're learning ToA for the first time, I would recommend using these same invocations, or no invocations at all, so you have a base understanding of all the bosses before you change any of the mechanics. After I test the waters with these invocations, I'll be bumping up the raid level to push the boundaries of what we can accomplish with this account at its current state. The raid itself features 4 pathways, which must be completed before facing the final boss. The optimal path order will generally depend on your account, the supplies you have access to, and the invocations that you're running. Each pathway has a distinctive puzzle to complete, as well as a boss to defeat in order to advance in the raid. I personally will be choosing the Path of Crondis first, as I have limited supplies, and this room is not very taxing on your resources. I would say that this puzzle is fairly straightforward. There's a tree in the center of the room, you have to water it to full health using the jugs found adjacent to it. In order to fill the jugs, you have to navigate past spike and poison traps. If either of the traps hit you after you fill your jug, you will lose 50% of the water in the container and take damage. Thankfully, you can avoid all the spike traps by ensuring your true tile matches up with the tiles I have marked here. In terms of the poison trap, the dark clouds are the ones that actually hurt you. If you're a Theater of Blood soda seg enjoyer, you can L-run around them to avoid water loss and damage, or you can wait for them to spawn and just avoid them. Crocodiles will also periodically spawn and try to chomp your tree to drain its health. However, you can usually water the tree to full health before they can get to it if you know what you're doing.
I'm fast as fuck, boy!
After the tree is fully grown, you are set to take on Zebak, the Guardian of Crondis. Mechanically, I would also say that Zebak is pretty simple with no invocations added. There's a jug animation which warrants a magic attack, a rock animation which warrants a range attack, and damage is calculated when the animation reaches you, so you have plenty of time to react with the proper prayer. At 4 different health thresholds, Zebak will use one of 2 special attacks, either Tidal Waves or Great Roar, and then alternate between them depending on which one was used first. Tidal Waves work just like Galvix Waves in Dragon Slayer 2, but your movement is slightly more restricted by acid pools. However, you can pop open some of the jugs to clear acid if you need more space to maneuver while dodging the waves. For the Great Roar special attack, Zebak will spit acid, rocks, and jugs into the arena. You will need to break a jug to clear space around the rocks to avoid being exposed to the Great Roar attack. You can do this by pushing the jug into the rock, or by popping the jug while it's rolling near the rocks. The jug splash radius highlights can be found on my Discord server if you're interested. It definitely makes a big difference if you're using the upset stomach invocation. Once Zebak falls below 25% of his health, he enters an Enrage phase similar to Zuck in the Inferno, where he attacks at a faster rate. However, all you have to do is just pray correctly but a little faster, and the fight's easy. And that is Path of Crondis complete. Next up, we'll be taking on the Path of Scabaras. Similar to the Path of Crondis, the Path of Scabaras is also not very taxing on supplies, and I should be able to complete it with just the supplies that I bring in. The puzzle room is also ridiculously easy if you use the Tombs of Apmeken helper plugin. I highly recommend it, although it almost feels like cheating. I won't be covering the exact mechanics of each puzzle in this pathway, however, if you're generally interested, the wiki outlines them in great detail. Kephri is very easy with no invocations, but very difficult with specific invocations on. Her primary attack is a fireball that's similar to Vorkat's Death Ball mechanic. A shadow will highlight where it's going to land, so all you have to do is move away, pretty easy to deal with. Periodically, Kephri will cast a Dun Strike, which limits the amount of space you can use. You can tell this is going to happen when tiny scarabs surround you, and there's also some sound cues. Kephri will occasionally also cast a Mass Incubation, where there will be eggs that will either detonate in a 3x3 grid, or hatch agile scarabs which will attack you with ranged. I would definitely pray against them, they're pretty accurate. Kephri has multiple shield phases. After the first shield is depleted, she will summon Scarab Swarms to recover her shield, and a Spitting Scarab to defend her. Pray ranged against the Spitting Scarab and attack the Swarms to stop Kephri from overhealing. After the second shield phase is completed, Kephri will summon more Scarab Swarms, as well as a Magic Scarab and Melee Scarab. If you use the tiles I have marked, the first 2 Dunk Stripes will trap the Melee Scarab. Immediately try to kill the Mage Scarab. If you don't do enough damage to it before it's fully surrounded by red scarabs, it'll teleport and you'll take massive damage. Some of this can be avoided by praying magic, but still try to kill it as fast as you can. After the Magic Scarab and Scarab Swarms are dealt with, I recommend putting some damage onto the trapped Melee Scarab. It heals Kephri proportionate to how much health it has, so if you have low DPS like myself, it may be necessary to do some damage to it. After this final shield is depleted, Kephri will promptly shit on you, and then all you're left with is to finish her green health bar. Once 2 paths are cleared, a helpful spirit will appear to provide supplies. You'll have 3 different bundles to choose from, and the optimal bundle to choose will depend on your account, the invocations you're running, and your current supplies. Despite not realizing it only had 1 restore, I opted for the Chaos bundle, which has offensive and defensive items that will be necessary for the 2 remaining paths. The first of which being the Path of Het. The Path of Het puzzle is pretty easy. You can think of it as an easier or more intuitive Chambers of Xeric crap room. The goal is to redirect a light beam from the casting statue to the shielded statue using various mirrors spread out through the room. Just try to avoid being zapped by the light beam or staying in the dark orbs that spawn. Once the light beam hits the shielded statue, the seal is removed from the center obelisk and you must mine it to destroy it. The damage you do to the obelisk depends on your mining level, and with 53 mining, this should be a 2 down for me if I'm tick perfect. Bonus tip, the mirrors will face the direction that you are facing when you place them. Here I'm facing west, so when I place the mirror, it too faces west. However, if you're feeling sweaty, you can red click something as you place the mirror, and that will place the mirror in the direction of where you clicked. Notice how now the mirror is lined up east towards the other mirror. Fun tip aside, once you've fully mined the seal, you're able to go take on Akkha, the Guardian of Het. I've decided to not butterfly Akkha here, as I do not have a powered staff yet. If you want to see a guide on the 4-tick butterfly method, let me know and I'll make one. I unfortunately can't offer the same for the 5-tick butterfly method, as I'm too poor to afford a Apmeken shadow. Getting back on track, Akkha always has protection prayers against 2 attack styles. You'll have to attack him with the style that he's not praying against to do damage to him. An easier way to keep track of this is to use the radius markers that I provided in my Discord. These highlight which attack style Akkha is using. Simply just pray against what he's attacking with, and then use the opposite attack style via the combat triangle to damage him. Here he's attacking with melee, so he's magic against him. Akkha also has 3 special attacks that he will use, but he only uses 2 of them in a solo. Memory Blast is the one that's being shown here, where he will disappear into the shadows, and at the same time, the markers on the floor will glow in a set pattern, indicating the safe areas of each quadrant for the incoming blasts. The other special attack that happens in a solo is Trailing Orbs, where Akkha will summon orbs in a trail behind you as you move around the arena. However, you can avoid this attack by standing still. When Akkha reaches 80% of his health, he will enter an invulnerable state and 4 shadows will appear. One of the shadows needs to be dispelled, and Akkha must be lured to that respective quadrant. This mechanic is repeated at 60%, 40%, and 20% health thresholds, meaning that you will do this for each of the 4 quadrants. The shadows will charge and attack in their respective quadrant through the hourglass above their head. Defeating the shadow before the bar fills will spare that quadrant from an incoming attack. Upon depleting all of Akkha's health, he will make his final stand where he restores 20% of his health. He will use protection from ranged and magic, making melee the only method to damage him. This is the notorious cum phase that everybody hates. Can I say cum phase and not jeopardize monetization? I'll just call it the Bukacalypse. But yeah, after every 3 attacks that you deal, Akkha will teleport to a random quadrant. You'll need to navigate to the quadrant while dodging the cum shots. You can use protection from magic to negate some of the cum damage. This phase will test your movement mechanics, pathing knowledge, and RNG, all of which I lack. But if you can successfully navigate all of this, that will be the Path of Het completed. This leaves just the Path of Apmeken, which we will have to complete with 1 dose of Restore. The Path of Apmeken is by far my least favorite puzzle and boss, and I think most people generally agree. The puzzle is combat focused, meaning that it will drain your supplies. You can think of this puzzle as a lamer version of the Theater of Blood's Nilicus room. It's essentially a wave survival challenge with the added nonsense of handling 3 random events. Technically, there are only 2 random events in a solo, but they're still annoying. For the events, you'll need the hammer and potion that are supplied at the start. When the pillars glow, you fix them with the hammer. When the vents glow, you pour the potion on them. All of this is handled whilst juggling waves of baboons whom require weapon and prayer switching to defeat. Once you've made it through all 10 waves, you're set to take on Baba. Admittedly, I don't know how to do the red X method for Baba to make it much easier. Eventually, I will learn this to try to push for 150s on this account, but thankfully, Baba's pretty straightforward. Her standard attack is melee, so make sure you're praying accordingly. Periodically, Baba will slam the ground with the shockwave attack. To avoid this, simply just walk away from it. Rocks also fall from the ceiling, so make sure to avoid them by not standing in the shadows that show where they will land. Periodically, Baba will throw a large boulder at you, and to avoid taking massive damage, you need to be standing next to one of the large rocks before the boulder hits you. Baba will sometimes summon baboons that attack with ranged. If you don't deal with them promptly, they will begin to open the surrounding sarcophagi, which emit energy blasts at random areas and will deal damage to you if you're standing in those areas. At 66 and 33% health respectively, Baba will knock you back and throw boulders at you. To survive, you must range the damaged boulder to clear space to stand. I have the damaged boulder highlighted here with the radius markers for convenience. You can also run past the boulders after you break them if you time it right, but I decided to play safe here. And that is Baba in a nutshell for you. Since we complete another 2 pathways, we have access to the supply bundles from the Helpful Spirit. In this case, I'm choosing life. On to the final boss fight, the Wardens. During the first phase of the battle, the center obelisk will begin to emit orbs that transfer energy to the Wardens. You're able to choose which Warden to fight in P2 and which Phantoms to fight in P3 by selectively blocking the flow of energy to the Warden that you would rather avoid. This will also desynchronize the Warden's charged and UFO attacks, making them much easier to deal with. I am choosing to fight Eladinis Warden, as it's much easier to handle in P2 than Tumikin's Warden, and I prefer to have Zebak and Baba as my Phantoms in P3. There's a lot more depth to the choices I've explained here, so let me know if you have any questions or would like a more comprehensive guide. The P1 Warden attacks are the UFO attacks, which I have desynchronized from tanking the orbs earlier, and the charged attacks. The charged attacks work differently in groups, and their attack order depends on the Warden you choose to fight. However, in a solo, the charged attacks are both large bursts of unavoidable damage. After you deplete the health of the obelisk, the Warden you choose to avoid crumbles, and the Warden you choose to fight awakens, heralding the beginning of Phase 2. Similar to Akkha, the Wardens will always have protection prayers against 2 attack styles, with Protect from Melee always being active. Tumikin's Warden will initially pray against magic, while Eladinis Warden will initially pray against ranged. The Wardens technically attack with all styles. A red skull is a magic attack, a normal skull is a ranged attack, Tumikin's Warden will hunt you down to melee you, and Eladinis' Warden will only melee you if you're in melee distance. The Warden also has 2 special attacks of its own. Divine Projectile, which will disable your prayers and fire either a red scimitar, melee, a white arrow, ranged, or a blue spell, magic. Just pray accordingly and you're fine. The second special attack is Imprisonment, where the Warden will fire a dark projectile at your last location. Getting hit by this projectile will encase you in stone, preventing you from moving or attacking. Just move out of the way of this attack and you'll be fine. During all of this, the obelisk is attacking you as well, using 3 different attacks. The first being the Lightning Skull, where several red skulls are launched, discharging lightning outward in a 7x7 grid from the center tile. The 2 tiles in each cardinal direction of the center tile are safe to stand. Another special attack is the Windmill Beam, where the obelisk will shoot out beams clockwise in 4 directions like a windmill. The floor will glow briefly before the beam is discharged, giving you some time to move away from it. If you use my marked tiles, this mechanic is no problem. The third and final obelisk attack is the Converging Beam, where the obelisk will shoot out 2 beams and each beam will spread out and converge towards the obelisk. If you use my marked tiles, you can avoid this attack using the same pathing and timing as the Windmill Beam. Once the Warden reaches 0 health, it ejects its core, which must be damaged with melee. The 2-down method is not possible here for me with my stats and gear, and I was also not tick perfect because I went cross-eyed looking at my prayers, forgetting that I don't have piety on this account. After the core returns to the Warden, its overhead prayers will change. Since Eladinis Warden protected against range to start, now it will protect against magic. If you do not defeat the Warden after the second ejection of its core, it will go back to the original overhead prayer. This pattern will repeat until you fully defeat it. Once you have fully depleted the core's health, Phase 3 begins. For Phase 3, the Warden attacks in a set directional pattern, starting left, then right, and then center. When the attack is left, stand right. When the attack is right, stand left. When the attack is center, stand center. The timing of this attack depends on what invocations you're running. You get an extra game tick of reaction time if you're standing 7 to 10 tiles away. I have these distances marked in yellow. Although, the no invocation Warden attack speed is already weird if you're used to the insanity invocation speed, so there's really no need for me to slow it down any further. Upon reaching 80%, 60%, 40%, and 20% of its health, the Warden will become invulnerable and launch skulls. They can only be damaged with melee, so make sure to switch to a melee weapon. My green tiles show where to start for each of the 4 skull phases. It's more important for running Insanity, because if you miss a tick, you're probably dead unless you're a pro tick eater or skull skipper. After the second set of skulls, the Phantom of Zebak spawns, since I chose to fight Eladinis Warden. Simply pray magic or ranged against Zebak just as you did earlier in the raid. After the third set of skulls, the Phantom of Baba spawns. Now you need to avoid falling boulders from Baba, as well as Zebak's attacks and the Warden's attacks. After the fourth set of skulls, nothing changes until the Warden drops below 5% health. When this happens, the Warden will heal 20% of its maximum health and Enrage. Its defense will be restored and increased as well. Instead of slamming the ground, the Warden will begin ripping away tiles to stand on from the back of the arena. Lightning will also spawn on the tiles, indicated by a dark shadow. If you end up with no safe tiles to stand on, you can click a darker shadow just before the lightning pops to avoid damage. If the fight goes on long enough, you might end up with just 1 row to stand on. I am really bad at final rowing, and I'm also not used to the 5-tick attack speed of a rune crossbow, so I took a lot of damage here. Generally speaking, it's best to tank a lightning tile before tanking an off-prayer hit from Zebak or a Baba boulder, but you should try to avoid all of these if possible. If you successfully complete the raid, make sure to take your pants off and put your hearts up for good luck. First KC, 20 invocations, 12k points. Do we have a purple? Never lucky. Ooh, cloggers, cache of runes. Hope it's death runes, that would actually be so good. Never lucky. Okay, that last raid was way too easy, so I'm going to add another 30 invocations via persistence and feeling special. Also, I want to share with you what my pre-pot looks like.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck?
Come on, Bone Dagger, we need a big hit here. Okay, that's not going to lower much defense. Oh, max hit, maybe not. Oh my goodness. Wow, okay, I stand corrected. Any one-tick flickers? Yo, poggers, I didn't fail the Arcane Scarab DPS check this time. And the Chaos Bundle has more than one restore? The RNG is looking much better this raid. For those who are curious, this is what the Feeling Special invocation does. It makes this memory puzzle faster. Man, f this puzzle. Look at this absolute zoo of monkeys I have behind me. This is just obnoxious. Honestly, f this boss too. The chip damage is so obnoxious. Uh-oh, tiles are about to get spicy. Bro, I've been stuck on this last row for a minute now. Can we please just do the 23 damage? Please. Please, DPS. Please. Yes, there's a hit. Come on. Come on. A little more of that. Yeah, there we go. Wait, seriously? 2 health? That's it? Come on. Hit. Hit. I'm gonna have to drink ambrosia. Come on, hit. Please. Seriously. 1? I had a 1? Are you kidding me? What the f? Come on, what the f? Please! Oh my god, finally! That was stupid, man. Oh my god. Any milkers? Oh, always white. That's alright. Let's check the board real quick. Almost 7k dealt, almost 1k taken. Not bad, I'd say. Let's go check the chest. Let me just respond to the clan real quick. Let me know we need some Ranar seeds. Hey, we did get some, alright.
The prophecy is true.
And that's going to conclude this video. In the next episode, I seek out some upgrades, I bump up the invocations in my solos, and I even take on some normal duos, so stay tuned for that. But I hope you enjoyed the ToA overview. If you're interested in any of my tiles, radius markers, my RuneLite plugin list, or if you want to join our army of Chads and do some raids, you should join my Discord. The link is in the description. Thank you all again so much for the support you've shown my channel throughout this journey. It really has been a pleasure to make these videos, and I hope to see you all in the next one.